Hey guys, welcome back to Mart, the Zelda Dungeon Mailbag. And before I answer this week's questions, I have a correction from last week. I was talking about Grezzo and how I felt that Nintendo should allow Grezzo to make their own Legend of Zelda game. Well, it turns out that Grezzo was one of the two developers that worked on Triforce Heroes. So I was wrong on that one, my fault. But I still feel that they should allow Grezzo to make perhaps a more traditional Zelda game as opposed to a multiplayer game. Since I thought Triforce Heroes was an okay game, my major complaints with it were the single player aspect of what really was a multiplayer game. Nevertheless, on with this week's questions. First question comes from Matthew Dodone of YouTube. What would you like to see for the 30th anniversary of The Legend of Zelda? Well, I actually think we're getting a lot already. We have Twilight Princess HD being released this year. We have Hyrule Warriors Legends being released this year. And very likely we will have Zelda Wii U being released this year. It's 3 Zelda games. One is a port, basically, of a console game. One is a remake. And one is a brand new experience. But that's still 3 titles. Furthermore, if you think back to the 25th anniversary of The Legend of Zelda, they did a Zelda Symphony concert. That Zelda Symphony concert is still going on, and in fact this year they have a worldwide showing where there's a lot of overseas events for the concert, and still several in the United States still, so that's still going strong. So I feel that Nintendo has loaded 2016 with a lot of good Zelda goodies. And beyond that, even, lately Nintendo has opened up a lot of their merchandise to the Zelda series. There's a lot more figurines and statues. There's a lot more Zelda memorabilia coming out as well. And really, as a Zelda fan, there's not really much more I can ask for in 2016. There's a lot of, far off things that maybe they'll do down the line. I mean, they've even hinted at them, like a Zelda Netflix combination series. There were rumors about that. There's that thing with Universal Studios, like a Zelda Nintendo theme park attractions, like a Zelda, I don't know. So those are more pipe dreams that are maybe down the line. I don't think will happen in 2016, but there's a lot to look forward to in 2016 for Zelda fans. Next question comes from LB through email. Do you think we will see any other spin-off games featuring Linkle? Well, actually, Eiji Aonuma, he actually addressed this, and he basically said it's something that he'd consider. I think he's taking a wait-and-see approach to see how Linkle is received in Hyrule Warriors Legends. But honestly, I have no problem with Linkle being included in future Zelda titles. I think it depends on the game, though, and depends on a lot of aspects. Like, if it's a single-player experience, I don't know, maybe as an NPC, but not the main character. If it's a new, spin-off game, like if they make Link's Crossbow Training 2 or whatnot, maybe you could play as Link or Linkle. I don't know. I think that's fine. We'll see. Next question comes from Kevin O'Rourke from the forums. What is your favorite game to play at the Zelda Dungeon Marathon? Well, honestly, I think that's sort of changed from year to year. I've played Legend of Zelda, Adventure of Link, and A Link to the Past every year of the marathon, along with Phantom Hourglass. And Phantom Hourglass I enjoy because each year it's the opening game of the marathon. It's on a 4-year tradition. And A Link to the Past is always a closing game of the marathon. So we have some traditions that we've built in. It's something to look forward to. I think my favorite experience, this is not only a game I've played once, was in 2015 when we played Twilight Princess. It was a 9-player simultaneous race. 9 people playing on 9 TVs, 9 consoles. It was chaotic. I didn't even make it through the game. I fell asleep 8 hours and 15 minutes or so into the game. But it was just so chaotic. I loved it. So, next question comes from Heroes of Time from YouTube. Do you find the HD remake of Twilight Princess for Wii U to be necessary? No. Necessary? Not at all. The reason being, Twilight Princess is still playable on the Wii U today in the form of a Nintendo Wii disc. the actual, you can still play it on the current hardware. This differs from, say, Wind Waker HD, whereas Wind Waker HD was a GameCube game, and you could play it on early versions of the Wii, but you couldn't play Wind Waker on the Wii U. So Wind Waker was a game that was not even playable on current hardware, whereas Twilight Princess is. Therefore, I didn't think it was necessary for there to be a remake really this soon in its its lifetime. But nevertheless, it's going to be almost 10 years by the time it comes out, so I think it's okay. I'm not really complaining, but I don't think it was necessary. Alright, the last question for this week comes from A Link in Time at the forums. Do you think Nintendo would alienate its most dedicated fan base by having a dual release of Zelda Wii U, similar to Twilight Princess in 2006? Or is it simply smarter to shift most units across Wii U and NX? Well, I think that the Zelda audience was not really alienated, the GameCube audience, with Twilight Princess. The reason being, I felt while Twilight Princess added some new features that were on the Wii, in particular the fishing mechanic, and it had the waggle controls, but for the most part, the game experience was the same on the GameCube or the Wii. I really didn't think there was much of a difference. It was a mirrored version, obviously, and it played different because of the waggle controls, but I don't think one was necessarily better than the other. So I don't think it really alienated a fan base. In fact, I think it benefited a lot of Zelda fans, in particular, younger Zelda fans or poorer Zelda fans that were not able necessarily to jump into another console. They didn't have the money to buy a brand new console right then and there, so they could play the newest Zelda game on their current console, which was the GameCube at the time. So I think Nintendo is in a similar boat now with Zelda Wii U. While I think it makes more sense from a business perspective to just shift the game to the NX, get more people on board early on as early adapters of the console, I think that would alienate a lot of Zelda fans that are Wii U owners, because, again, I'm not sure they'd be able to just go out and afford to purchase a brand new console just to play the latest Zelda game. So giving that opportunity to Wii U owners to play Zelda Wii U makes sense. So if it's a dual release, I don't think it'll alienate anybody. I think everybody will be happy, and I think that's the way they're going. But good question. But that's going to do it for this week's mailbag. As always, there are 4 ways you can send in questions. Number 1, you can post in the comments below at YouTube. Number 2, you can post in the comments at the article at Zelda Dungeon. Number 3, you can send in questions via email to webmaster@zeldadungeon.net. Or 4, we now have a section on the forums, and there will be a thread for this mailbag, and in that thread, you can post a reply leaving questions for next week's mailbag. But that's going to do it for this week, and I will see you guys next week with more questions. Take care.